What we have here is one of the most mysterious and often misunderstood watercolor pigments in the world. At first glance, it looks just like a boring, flat gray. Many beginners either ignore it completely or use it just as a dull neutral without ever unlocking its full potential. But if you know how to use it properly, this one humble pigment can completely transform your palette and save a ton of money by helping you mix gorgeous, sophisticated colors using the paints you already own. No need to buy more expensive tubes. And it will help you avoid one of the biggest watercolor mistakes beginners make, creating muddy or dull shadows. This pigment is called neutral tint, and it's specifically formulated to blend beautifully with any watercolor pigment on your palette, transforming them and even creating entirely new hues. And in this video, I will show you exactly how it works, first by swatching, then using real painting examples. I will demonstrate how to use it to enhance the colors you already have, how to mix luminous, clean shadows full of color, and this is absolutely essential for painting realistic, convincing subjects with watercolors, and how to apply it in the real painting so you can truly appreciate the power of this tiny tube. Mine is from Winsor & Newton, but you can find neutral tints in most of the reputable brands. I will leave a link to mine in the description below. When you're ready, let's get started. So on the left here, you can see neutral tint on its own. I painted a swatch showing a smooth gradient from light to dark. You can absolutely use it just like this, a very subtle gray for underpainting or even a finished piece. But where neutral tint's superpower really shines is in how it transforms other pigments, creating entirely new, moodier, more dramatic colors while still preserving transparency, luminosity, and also avoiding that dreaded muddy look. I've chosen a few of my favorite single pigment colors to demonstrate, starting with a classic primary triad of blue, red, and yellow, so you can really see how versatile neutral tint can be. Let's start with Phthalo Blue, one of my favorite non-granulating green-leaning blues, bright and vibrant on its own. Watch what happens when I mix it with neutral tint. The result is much deeper, stormier version, perfect for dark skies and deep water. Notice how it remains luminous and transparent, no mud. By adjusting the ratio of blue to neutral tint, I can create an entire range of rich hues. You can think of maybe indigo or indothrone blue. To me, this mix actually resembles Prussian blue more closely. Here's a dot of Prussian blue for comparison, and it's almost indistinguishable. So instead of buying a separate tube of darker blue, you can just create it yourself with what's already on your palette. Next, let's try Quinacridone Coral, one of my favorite reds, perfect for botanical petals or rosy cheeks if you like painting portraits. On its own, it's a very vibrant, delicate pink, and mixed with neutral tint, it transforms into this gorgeous, muted brick red, perfect for petal shadows and deep skin tones. Again, no muddiness here. It's a clean, elegant shade that reminds me of colors like Venetian red or Perylene maroon. But instead of buying those specialty pigments, you can just mix coral and neutral tint and unlock a whole new spectrum of subtle, warm reds. Finally, let's complete the primary triad with Quinacridone Gold, a beloved glowing yellow. I often use it in my primary mixes. When combined with neutral tint, it shifts into a shadowy olive-tinged gold. Very similar to olive green, this muted tone is perfect for fall foliage, landscapes, architectural detail, vegetables, you name it. And once again, you don't need to buy olive green separately. You can just create it on the spot with neutral tint and Quinacridone Gold or any of your favorite yellows. Now I want to show you how neutral tint pairs with some of my favorite specialty colors that I use in my botanical compositions, starting with the beautiful Quinacridone Violet and all the exciting new shades you can make. Once I swatch these, I will demonstrate how to actually use them to paint a lilac composition. Then we'll do a quick study of 3 red flowers, each painted with a different shade of red, plus some neutral tint. So you see how this violet, when mixed with neutral tint, becomes a gorgeous, deep muted purple, darker and more desaturated than pure violet pigment, yet still transparent and luminous. It's perfect for adding depth and shadow without killing the vibrancy. It also makes for a perfect eggplant color and really great for painting darker skin tones. Very close to dioxazine purple with some hints of perylene violet maybe. For my leaves, I typically use Hooker's Green. It's my go-to convenience green from Daniel Smith. And when I mix it with neutral tint, it transforms into this rich, dark green. Very similar to perylene green. This saves me from having to add another separate pigment to my palette and still gives me those dramatic, realistic leaf shadows I will show you in just a minute. But before I start painting the lilac, I want to use aqua green, another one of my favorites, a more blue-leaning green. I love this for watery scenes as well as flower leaves, and when combined with neutral tint, it turns into this gorgeous deep sea green. Perfect for adding depth and mood, whether you're painting leaves or water. It reminds me of Prussian green or deep sap green from Daniel Smith, except again, I don't need those pigments. Neutral tint is more than enough. Before painting the lilac, I actually did the same swatching exercise in my sketchbook, testing different combinations, and decided to include neutral tint with magenta as well. What's really interesting is how neutral tint creates a gorgeous purple when mixed with magenta, so let's see how it all comes together. For the first layer on the flowers, I start with pure but very diluted violet and magenta, laying down a light bright base. Then I use tinted versions of these same colors mixed with neutral tint to drop darker shadows into the center where the stamens are. The shadows are full of rich color, blending seamlessly with the base layer and creating beautiful variations from light to dark, all without any heavy or muddy strokes. Here, let me show you up close so you can really appreciate the process and maybe even try it for yourself. It's a fantastic exercise, and I've included a link to the reference photo in the video description if you like to follow along. On my palette here, at the top, I have pure neutral tint. In the middle, neutral tint mixed with violet. And at the bottom, magenta mixed with neutral tint. I build this first layer very slowly, starting with pure pigments, then adding the tinted mixes. And you can see how the shadows stay vibrant and colorful. They're not dirty or muddy, and that's the magic of neutral tint. It deepens and darkens colors without killing their luminosity. For the background flowers, which are more in the shadow, I go straight in with the tinted violet, painting a solid wash all over. And it's just wonderful how you can create these quick, elegant shadow versions of your main colors. No need to overthink it, hunt for that perfect match, or look for additional color tubes, or buy yet another pigment just to paint this one thing you're working on. And of course, let's not forget the leaves. You already saw the swatches earlier, but here's how it looks in the composition in my sketchbook. I used Hooker's Green, bit of green gold, and then tinted them with neutral tint to create a deep, lush shadow green. Very close to perylene green with hints of sap green maybe. And the best part, I didn't even touch those other pigments. I did not need my perylene green or sap green, just relied on neutral tint to intensify my shadows beautifully. In the next case study, I wanted to paint a geranium flower up close to show you how neutral tint works with different reds and how you can use it to create rich, luminous shadows that are full of color. This isn't easy with watercolor reds. Usually we reach for darker, cooler versions of our red, maybe add violet or purple. Some painters even mix in red with green since these colors are complementary, but that can get muddy very quickly. So I'm going to show you a different, much easier approach with neutral tint. And I started with my warm Scarlet Lake up on top. I'm going to use quinacridone red, a little bit cooler, in the middle. And at the bottom, the coolest blue-leaning quinacridone magenta. And when I mix Scarlet Lake with neutral tint, you can see that it leans warm, almost brown. Here, I'm glazing it very lightly so I can come back later and add more definition. And you can already see it becomes a little bit more muted, like a desaturated version of Scarlet Lake. With quinacridone red though, it stays a lot more vibrant, and that's because the quinacridone family of pigments is much more vivid in general. They're also fully transparent, so they let light pass through, and even after glazing this second layer with neutral tint, the first layer still shines through. Scarlet Lake, being semi-transparent, mute it more quickly, which is why the shadows on the top flower look a little bit softer and kind of a bit more dull. On the bottom flower, again I'm using quinacridone, this is a magenta, and when I mix it with neutral tint, it gives me a deep, almost violet shadow, perfect for suggesting cooler areas in the composition. This is very similar to Dioxazine Purple, but a bit more muted. Now I go back to build more shadows and definition with a third pass. Starting at the top, I add back some pure Scarlet Lake to bring out those vivid areas. And then slowly and gradually mix in neutral tint to deepen the shadows where petals overlap. In the middle, I also layer more quinacridone red with increasing amounts of neutral tint, especially in the center of the flower and under the petals where less light reaches. The bottom magenta flower is almost entirely in the shadow because it's turned away from the light, and here I can use much more neutral tint, gradually building coverage until the petals look almost black. If you switch to a black and white view at this point, which I really like doing, especially in my tutorials, you can really appreciate the range of values, meaning lights and darks. Keep in mind that even the brightest reds can read or be perceived as fully black when they're fully saturated, closer to the darkest value, which makes it really tricky to balance values when you're starting out and just learning how to work with red watercolors. It's really easy to overpaint and lose transparency. That's why I always recommend starting with very diluted reds and building up gradually. And I like showing this black and white view in my tutorials so my students can understand this example a little bit easier. Neutral tint will be a great helper here because it lets you create natural shadows even at lighter stages, so you will avoid using thick muddy paint and keep everything light and luminous. And to finish, I added a few buds using aqua green mixed with neutral tint just to complete this little branch. If you like to learn more about painting flowers in watercolor and master the slow glazing technique, check out the tutorial on your screen. And if you know an artist who will find these tips helpful, do share the video. Leave a comment below and let me know if you're already familiar with neutral tint and share your favorite mixes. Thank you for watching and painting with me. I will see you soon.